My history fascinates me. The story of my parents, of my mom in particular. My mother came from a broken home. Both parents were alcoholics. The father was more of a functioning alcoholic. The mother, dysfunctional alcoholic. Bringing men home in front of the father, all sorts of fucked up shit. All of the kids ended up with some kind of addiction at some point. My aunt, who I would say did the best, not that it's a competition, but kind of landed in the best place, she was the one that got out the earliest. She left when she was like a teenager, and she did the whole hippie thing. So she got out there early. Everyone else who stuck around ended up with some kind of problem. Now, my mom would always, she hung out with gangsters, you know, the Italian gangsters, the mob guys, but had an attraction to Puerto Rican men. It's like the strange dichotomy of South Brooklyn. My father was not a street guy. He was from the streets, but he didn't want to be that thing. You know, mind you, he came from Coney Island. His father was a drug dealer, was killed when he was 12. And then he moved to Sunset Park, right? So he's from the streets, and he was hanging out in the streets. And the block that he was from, or was living at, was 54th, between 3rd and 4th. And if you know Sunset Park, you know that block was a serious block. These boys were wild. There was a great sense of community there. Everybody on the block knew each other. You know, it's not like today. Or maybe it is in certain places. I shouldn't say that. But, you know, I don't see that. I don't know that I see that in Sunset Park anymore, where the whole block knows each other. But that's what it was like. Everybody knew each other. So they'd all come out on the block, and they would all party together, and they're getting high and drunk and doing drugs and who knows what. And so he's from the streets. He's from the hood. But he doesn't aspire to be that. He doesn't want to be the biggest drug dealer in Sunset Park. He doesn't want to be a fucking get in with the mob. My mother wanted him to be like these guys. And my father didn't want it. He was like, I'm me. I'm not them. I don't want to be them. I don't want to take this fucking package for you somewhere. No thanks. Now, my mom had a good heart. She really did. Really, really did. But my mom had a meanness and a vindictiveness about her that was no joke. No joke. She'll get you touched. She'll send people after you. She had a vindictiveness, a mean streak about her. You know, and I think, again, you got to look at what she grew up in. You know, those that knew my mom knew that she loved me more than anything in the world. Like, I was her life. You know, I think that, you know, maybe my existence is kind of what enabled her to hold it together for as long as she could, because eventually I think the trauma from the past and the, you know, trauma and addiction, they go hand in hand. And I think eventually, you know, she would succumb to that, and then it just took over. So, you know, my father was 18, she was 22. You know, they met dancing. And you know, there was problems, and I'm sure it was her. she was difficult, to put it extremely mildly. So, you know, I didn't really have my father in my life for certain years, you know, and it, you know, she'll say it was because of the wife, or she'll have her reasons as to what it was. but then when you hear the other side of the story, it's like, and then when you're living with my mother, it's like, yeah, you didn't mention those things. So, um, it was just, eventually my father would come back into my life later on, and that's when I would be in Sunset Park and, experience that other part of me. But I look at myself and I am a product of this strange union, or lack thereof. This whole South Brooklyn thing. The way that I talk, this accent. Because I was, raised by that and put in this place, yet this other half of me that you can see, this physical appearance, that is more dominant in my look, tells you that I'm of something else. And it's just, my mother's past is a very curious thing to me, and I always try to learn about it because it never meant much to me, all of the gangster shit. My lineage in this hip hop would surprise you. If you are from the streets of South Brooklyn, you know who Charlie Hustle is. And you know that is a respected name, okay? Those are facts. Everybody got haters, but Charlie was feared in the streets. That's a fucking fact. And I'm not here to talk street shit, but these are the facts. And if you don't know who I'm referring to, there's a video with him in the limousine with Big Pun. My mom was dating Charlie's father. Charlie's father was a notorious drug dealer in Sunset Park. Apparently, he used to, she would hold his guns and shit. Like, I never knew my mom was like this fucking, with all of this shit. So, my first rap that I wrote down, Charlie was reading it, trying to put a flow to it. You know what I'm saying? And it gives me chills because I pay homage. You know what I'm saying? That this is, because I used to look up to Charlie. I wanted to be down with RNS. Everybody from, Bay Ridge to Sunset. If you were, the two things, if you could be a Latin king or you could be down with RNS. RNS kind of beef with the Latin kings, but RNS, these dudes were no joke. These dudes were official. So you wanted to be down with that. He never wanted to put me down because I had no business being down. I wasn't fucking cut from that cloth. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would later in life become a little bit more volatile and become a bit violent later in life because of all of the shit that I had to go through when my mom's addiction started to take. Certain things I seen, it changed me, gave me issues, gave me anger problems, made me violent, made me very have a rage. I would lose it. And I started to get into problems, but it was later on. In my teenage years, I didn't care really much about, like, the fact that my mom was involved with these mob guys and all of this different shit. Like, I knew it was there, but I was more concerned about, like, going to the club. As soon as I was 16, I wanted my, my ID, get the fake ID, go to the tunnel every weekend. Like, I my life was music. I cared about the street shit is a young age, like high school age, because that's what was cool. It's like, what crew were you down with? If you couldn't be down with RNS, you wanted to be down with, like, the little fucking bros of RNS. It was a crew called MAD. And there was a crew below that. It was the MAD Vandal Squad, right? So the graffiti writers. All of this fucking South Brooklyn history. And then you had 61st Street, which was like FEB, fuck everybody. And that 61st Street was also MAD, anyway, whatever. This is his history. It means something to us because it's just our childhood, whatever. It's like, memory lane shit or whatever. But, so, this this strange dichotomy that makes up who I am. You know, it's just like this I am many moniker. It's very suiting. You know, it suits me well. Because I can sit down with the stockbroker. I could sit down with the Guido. I could sit down with the Sunset Park guy. I could sit down with the rapper. I could sit down with the technical rapper. I could sit down with the fucking gym bro. I could sit down with the raver, the club head, the music producer. I can sit down with the Christian, the Muslim, anybody, the you know, any people deep in philosophy, the atheist, whoever. There's no direction that I can't go. You know what I'm saying? And I can sit with the low heads and we can talk fashion. Tommy Hilfiger is stupid. But that's has nothing to do with any of this. But it's somewhat relevant. You know, and I think it's because of all of these elements that would otherwise maybe not coincide with each other that, you know, is responsible for the makeup of my person. But I, you know, as I go, you know, my mom died, and, you know, you like anybody else, you know, I'll go on YouTube and, you know, the mob thing and these podcasts, they became very popular, you know. And I'm like, yo, these are like my mom's friends. Like, you know? So it says that you just kind of become curious where you're just like, what was the history, you know? Like, what was, and even if it's a bad history or it's a bad legacy, you know, you still, in a weird way, are proud. It's like, well, you know, at least there is a legacy, you know. At least she was a part of something, even if it wasn't, you know, such a good thing, you know. You know, but she tried to do good, you know. I mean, at one point before she got involved in the club, she was the super of a building, and then she was working at another job. It was like a videotape store, right? For Blockbuster and shit. They had like privately owned videotape stores. You know, and collecting food stamps, all of this shit to get by. You know, and there's me with this thing inside of me. Because though my father didn't have ambitions to like go through the ranks, move through the ranks in the street world, he's a very outgoing kind of guy. He's gonna hit the clubs. He's gonna party. He's very lively. To this day, he's the life of the fucking party. Everywhere we go. He's more personable than me. Now, I'm not very personable, but I can be, but not compared to him. So you take that element, his qualities, and you take my mom's qualities, you know, and you put these two things together, these things that are innate with me, in me, that I didn't choose. You know? I just look at it all. I just look at it all now from, you know, that the 2020 hindsight, and just trying to put it all together and understand it all. You know, because it's an interesting story. It's an interesting story. You wouldn't think that a Many Styles or an I Am Many was taking the raps that he wrote down on a paper and and kicking it to get the approval of a Charlie Hustle. You wouldn't think that. You wouldn't know that, you know, when I walked around in the streets, people would be like, that's Charlie's cousin. We're not blood cousins, but it was, you know what I mean? Like, Charlie and Jason would sleep over my house. You know, my mom was dating his father. We were family. You know, and people would say that. And it was immediate. It was like, you should see the fucking respect. Like, yo, you're whoa, like it would be either that or it would be like, don't leave them alone. Like, you know what I mean? It'd be one of those two things. Big facts. Big facts. That's anybody. You know what I'm saying? What does it all mean? I don't know. I don't know. You know, your parents die and you go through these things and you just look at it all and you try to make sense of it. You know, and I'm expressive and I just tell my story. I don't know if it has a cohesive fucking start and end. I don't know. But this is the shit that I think of and it's the stuff that I share. Yeah.